Hello, everybody. Welcome to another indie author interview. Today, I am joined by Alyssa Green, who is the author of A Flesh and Steel, as well as the upcoming of Blood and Onyx. So, thank you so much for Alyssa for joining me today and chatting with me.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So let's just get right into it. Tell us a little bit about at what point in your life you decided to be an author and kind of about your path to publication.
Um, I kind of always wanted to be an author ever since I started writing, which was like 5 years old.
Wow. It's been a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. But I think I started seriously thinking about it when I was in school full time and working a job full time. That was really hard. I was like, man, I need another career.
Yeah, that is really hard. And so how did you kind of work with that? Like what kind of made you either like take the leap or kind of work on balancing those two things?
Well, so I ended up quitting my job, right? And I actually joined the military.
Wow.
Yeah, so I joined the military and there's just a bunch of I basically made the military work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I took advantage of their benefits. I took a few business classes here and there.
Cool.
And I was only like a reservist, but I was able to save up enough capital to kind of, fund myself. And so in 2020, when the pandemic hit,
Mhm.
I um went full time with being an author because, I was able to work from home and stuff. So
That's super cool. I think that it's kind of awesome that, even though obviously the pandemic was very difficult for many of us, you kind of worked that to your advantage to kind of, I mean, we're in isolation, we're staying home, right? Like, I'm sure you had a lot of writing time.
yeah, definitely worked on a lot.
And so, I think that you mentioned a good piece about, I mean, being an indie author and a self-published author is quite expensive because you're kind of doing it all yourself. So, tell us a little bit about like the decision to self-publish and kind of how that went for you.
I think I like having control, like the control aspect of it. I was able to, pick my cover and formatting and I'm also very artistic, so I love drawing and stuff. So I think that's why I decided to go the self-published route just for the control aspect of it.
And so did you design this cover? And I know this is the hardcover one, but I like it. So did you design this or the paperback one, or what did that kind of look like?
I definitely had a lot to say about it but I actually hired a cover designer for those, but we did quite a bit of, revisions for how I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm. Cool, cool. And I think that is like a main theme that I'm hearing is, going the self-publishing route is that you do have more control. Like, yes, that means that you obviously have to do your own promotion and things like that, but just having your story be told the way that you want it to be told is, appears to be a big theme, right?
Yes, very big thing.
So tell us a little bit about your writing process. So do you outline, do you plot and plan, do you quill? What do you do to kind of get your story kind of sorted?
Well, believe it or not, I used to be a huge pantser, but each book that I wrote was a different process. I'm always learning and I'm always trying to find new processes. So the first book was completely pants, like I had no idea what I was doing.
Mhm.
So that just meant that I needed more editing time with that. The second book was kind of half and half, like half pantsed, half plotted. And then this third book is going to be completely plotted out. So my
Kind of,
process has evolved.
and I like that you said that, that like, sometimes when we start, this is kind of just what we're doing. And then, you kind of learn. I mean, even I didn't even know what like plotting and lancing was. Like I didn't even know like when I started interviewing authors. And so it's cool that you kind of say that like it evolves based on like, I mean, I think like how you've kind of written the story already, right? And then
Yes.
if you have like that good basis like you do in this book, then it can be very different for planning, the future books. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Um, what do you enjoy most about writing in fantasy?
What do I enjoy most? Ooh,
Mhm.
there's so much.
Oh,
I like I actually like the world building and like coming up with magic systems and the maps and all that. I think is kind of fun because I designed that map in the book.
let's see. Do I have a this one?
Yes, yeah, I designed that.
Let me hold it up. Wow, that's really cool. And I love this. I know that like when I ordered it, it came with a print of this, but like I absolutely
Mhm.
love this art too. I have
Good, I'm glad.
so I think that, just I mean, I read because fantasy because I want to kind of get away from real life, and I think that that's awesome that you get to literally build, like you said, you build your own world, like whatever you say goes, right? So
Yes.
like if
Yep.
you want this to happen, like it can happen because you're writing the world, so who knows? Only you.
Yeah.
Um, what do you need in your writing space? Ooh, I just slipped my hair. What do you need in your writing space to stay focused? Obviously, I am very unfocused. I have ADHD, but what do you need to stay focused?
Oh man. I have a big problem staying focused as well.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but usually if I, put on my headphones and some music and just get into the zone, I'm pretty much okay for like an hour or two.
Yeah. Music with or without words?
You know what? That's a heavy question. So I write contemporary romance as well. So with that book, I actually wrote with lyrics. But with this fantasy series, I can only write without lyrics, which is weird.
I think that's interesting. I think that like the contemporary piece, I mean, if you're writing like contemporary romance, like maybe you're listening to, romance songs or things that kind of like evoke that emotion. And maybe for like a fantasy, it's more like I've heard about like a lot of like soundtrack stuff to kind of like get you like in a certain space. But obviously,
Yeah. Yeah.
the words are probably, or in the content is probably more, you need to be more focused to write that, rather than, maybe a contemporary romance where, it's set in this, day and age, and, they're humans and that sort of thing. So
Yeah.
it does make sense, having those two different kinds of music influence.
Yeah.
Um, what is your kryptonite as a writer? What gets in your way?
Oh man. What doesn't get in my way?
That's probably a better question.
My dog sometimes she needs attention. My husband too.
I know how that is.
Definitely have to turn off notifications on my phone. Usually when I start writing, I try to do that, but sometimes in the back of my mind, I'm like, I wonder if I had got any likes or how it is.
It's difficult, especially probably when you're, actually writing, like, you're writing for yourself and you're writing for your readers, but at the same time, you obviously are very involved in social media, Instagram and TikTok and all that stuff, Book Talk and Bookstagram
Mhm.
are huge, and, hopefully like all of
Yeah.
the effort that you put in, like I know I when I put in so much effort like into my posts, like and then they only get like 100 views, I'm like, oh. It's like you put a lot of work into that and like nobody thinks it's funny.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
okay, so let's move on to the next part of the interview. So we'll just talk about A Flesh and Steel, just in case someone is discovering you for the first time and hasn't read this first book.
Okay.
So if you had to describe A Flesh and Steel in one sentence or less, what is that sentence?
It's a long run-on
Okay, run on
sentence.
a sentence. Let's go.
Okay. I would say it's a tale of bravery and self-discovery where Sergeant Blaze is drawn from the safety of her sentinel post into a perilous mission to defeat a tyrant's reign, unveiling her powers and confronting her destiny amidst war and ancient magic.
That's like really well put together, Alyssa. Like that sounds awesome. And I love this question because, I post little clips of my interviews so people know who I interviewed and where to go. And the feedback I've gotten, like even from like my real life friends who like they read, but if they follow me to support me, they're like, that is like my favorite part because then I can kind of basically tell like, is that going to be a book I'm into or not? So that sentence
Mhm.
has been, very helpful. And I think that that's a great sentence.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
this is everybody's hardest question because it's like choosing one of your children or one of your dogs. Who was your favorite character to write and why was that person your favorite?
Oh man.
I
Let
love
me,
Blaze. Blaze is my favorite character.
you like Blaze? You know what? Um, she was actually the hardest to write for me for some reason. But I think my favorite character would have to be Matthias. I don't know why him and I just connect. I think it's just because of his, sarcasm and he's just so opposite of me. So I think it was fun, to kind of get into his headspace and just have fun and give Caden a hard time.
um, what do you think? Like, and what are your kind of thoughts about like why Blaze was harder to write?
Because she's a lot like me. And
Hmm.
I think it was just really vulnerable for me to like kind of, put myself out there in a way. Because, her mental health was basically drawn from my experiences. So that was really hard for me to, put on a page.
But I think that that's maybe what, draws people like myself, obviously, to her is that she felt very like real, like realistic and like you could relate to her. Like I have mental health concerns. I'm a mental health counselor in my full time. So that's something very like near and dear to my heart. So, I think that by being vulnerable, I've heard people say that they kind of use the writing to heal, from things that they had.
Mhm.
I think that that's what readers like most appreciate. Like when I see rep for mental health, ADHD, depression, anxiety, trauma, and like health conditions, like chronic health conditions, like PCOS and stuff that I have, like represented in books, it just is like, wow, like I feel seen, like I feel like somebody actually understands, and they're putting it in a fantasy world, which just makes it even better because there are unique challenges, right? That
Yeah.
fantasy characters have to deal with that we don't have to. So I think that that's really great that you were able to, be vulnerable and put that on the page because I think that that's probably the most difficult. Um, but having Matthias be the opposite of you, it's more easy or easier. I think that's the correct language. Like it's easier to write, right? Because it is the opposite of you and it's just like I don't know, maybe there are some I love sarcasm. Like I speak fluent sarcasm, but I think that that's kind of a piece that's like, oh, like he could say that, but I couldn't say that.
Yes. Yes,
um
exactly.
So other than, Blaze's character being, challenging to write, is there anything else you would say that was kind of challenging about, writing your first draft, writing your manuscripts for the first time?
Just getting through it, really.
Mhm.
Being able to say I finished the first draft, I think it's hard because you want to go back, you want to edit, but well, for me, I will get stuck in editing if I you know go back. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna finish this draft and then I'll go through and edit.
And I think that that's where I'm personally getting stuck is like I wrote like the prologue and like half of the first chapter of my book and I just like can't make myself like write more because I don't know if I'm like going in the right direction. Uh,
Hmm.
and I don't want to like write the whole thing and then be like, okay, like this is like I have the same problem like across the whole thing and then I have to go back. But I've heard a lot of, I one of my questions is advice for aspiring authors and a lot of it is just like get it down. Get it down and get it written out, but like it's like nerve-wracking and like anxiety provoking because like you want it to be good, but your first draft necessarily is not going to be great, right? Is that
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
correct? Give myself a break. Um what is your favorite line or quote from the book?
Um, Let me think. I think that line, dang, what was it? I can't even remember the line from my old book. Hold
A
on.
lot of lines. You wrote
Yeah, yeah.
295 pages, so I think that's okay.
But it's a pretty prominent quote or important quote, I think. I just don't know how I could forget it.
What's your favorite part of the book?
I think I like all the tension
The
that
time.
I put between Blaze and Caden. I think that came out really well.
Definitely. Um, and so I know some authors when they're writing, like they have ideas of what their characters look like in their mind. Do you have any ideas of like established actors or actresses that are out there that you would kind of fan cast for your main characters that you thought about?
Well, you know what? I saw Luna's interview and you asked her the same question. I was like, oh shoot, I better I better prepare. So I came prepared.
I love that.
Um, so Theo James as Caden,
I love that.
Michelle Rodriguez as Blaze, and then maybe like a younger Hayden Christensen as Matthias.
I can see it.
I,
See it.
yeah, I feel like he would pull Matthias off pretty good. And then for Nira, who's in the second book, I think Jenna Ortega has like her kind of broody personality.
I love that. I can definitely, I mean, I love Theo James. Theo James is definitely like an ultimate for me. So I can definitely see that. Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
So the last kind of set of questions are just kind of fun things. So what do you like to do when you're not writing other than reading? What are things that you enjoy?
Um, well, I love working out. It's like an outlet for me.
I've seen some of your videos with that tire.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to beat up my tire.
Cool.
I also, I sing and I play the guitar, and then I love hiking and just, going on nature adventures and stuff. Um, Spending time with family.
Hmm.
Um, I think that's about it. That's
So like some outdoor, like more physical pursuit things. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, this is my favorite question, so I am gonna write down your recommendations because I've gotten so many amazing ones. What are some books or authors that you would recommend that you really, really enjoy?
Oh, let's see. So the Zodian Warrior is an urban fantasy. It's by Casey Lealma. It's self-published. All of these are self-published actually. Living Legend by Ali Shante.
I just read those.
Um, let's see. Queen and Conqueror by Isabel Omo. Um, The Song of the Marked, SM Gaither. That one was good. Yeah. Also Syndicate, Sins of the Shadows by Ariana Isabella. That one's a good one too. Um, Obviously Luna Laurier and and Callista Neath, and I love all of them.
Awesome. So cool. So I have some recommendations I got. I'm going to be going on vacation, so I need a lot of books because you never know. Um,
Yep.
so, kind of back to that question that we were talking about earlier, some advice for aspiring authors or a younger you. Anything you would say to that person or people?
To my younger self, I would say go with your instincts.
Mm,
Because I should have just went for it when I had that first thought, but everything happens for a reason, I guess. So,
and I think it's
and
hard
then
to take that jump.
yeah, yeah, definitely, because you're basically putting yourself out there and being vulnerable with the world. So, I think it happened at the right time, probably.
Mm,
But yeah, just go with your instincts and get the book down. Don't stop and don't give up.
all good advice. All good advice. So we talked about listening to, music with words and music without words. Are there any like specific songs or anything that make you think of this book?
Mm, let's see. Any songs? I do have a playlist on
Yes,
my
you do.
um, on my Spotify.
Is that on
I would
tree?
I would say probably Haunted by Evanescence makes me think of that. I played that song a lot when I was writing the first book. That was like the only lyrical song I could listen to while writing it. The rest was like violin or soundtracks or piano. So,
I love Evanescence. That's just like my like emo self coming back. Um,
yes,
I would absolutely love, I would love to see Lindsay Sterling, right?
the one who plays the violin.
Hmm.
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
love to see her. She's just, I mean, I've seen videos of just how she play. It's just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yeah, all those spins and while she's playing the violin.
Like I can't even think about playing the violin. So like that alone
Yeah.
is super cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever traveled as research for any of your books, or is there anywhere that kind of like inspired when you were thinking about this world?
Um, I don't think any specific place inspired the world. I think it was mostly movies and TV shows. You know what? The Witcher actually inspired some of the world building for this book.
Sure.
Um,
That's probably why I liked it so much. You had, I can kind of see those vibes.
yeah. Um, but no, I haven't really traveled anywhere for research for this book.
Cool, cool. So the Witcher vibes. Um,
Yeah.
and then a question I kind of added towards the end because I thought that it would be cool. Do you have any upcoming events or signings or anything going on for you?
Um, just that little group chat that you put together.
So we actually,
Um,
myself and someone that I interviewed, J.E. Harder, for anybody who doesn't know, we have some really exciting stuff coming up with some authors. Until we have like a day and a time and such, won't divulge too much more, but all I can say is that a lovely group of fantasy authors are looking to do something very special. for us. So you're going to be like,
Hmm.
it's going to be absolutely amazing and wonderful. Um, so A Flesh and Steel is out now. Is it available on Kindle Unlimited?
Yes, it
Okay,
is.
so that's available. And when does The Blood and Onyx come out? Remind us.
March 26th.
Oh my gosh, so soon. Um,
Yeah.
and you said that you were writing a third book in the series. Do you have any like timeline or kind of plan about when you want to get that out?
I'm thinking towards the end of 2025.
Awesome.
Like,
Awesome. So we definitely have some stuff to look forward to from you from this series. And what about your contemporary stuff? Have you published that?
yes. The I published book one of the Mad Love series, which is Sunshine and Madness, and it's a rock star romance.
That sounds amazing. I just added that to my to be read. Because I like to kind of like I feel like I'm very heavy on like the romantasy and like I do need some, dark romance or contemporary romance to kind of split it up. So I'll definitely be looking forward to that. Did I see that there was like an audiobook that just came out or will be coming out for that one?
Yes, it's out now.
Yes, awesome, awesome. So there's an audiobook for that one as well. Well, Alyssa, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me today about your books and your writing and your journey. I really, really appreciate your time, and I'm sure everybody who watches this will also appreciate it. So don't forget that you can get A Flesh and Steel now. Alyssa does have copies on her Etsy. They're signed. Like I literally love getting signed copies, and it's silver, so I like that. So you can grab signed copies, and obviously when A Blood and Onyx comes out, you'll be able to get those too, I'm sure. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll talk again soon, I'm sure.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Alyssa. Bye.
Bye.